let's start by talking about diagnosis.
Sure.
So just one of the main jobs of a psychologist, and that's how it would differ, say, from a counselor or a social worker, is differential diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And so what tends to happen is we are overrun by information right now. And so everybody's walking around self-diagnosed with anxiety.
Right.
And whatever it is, whether it be that, when we were younger, it was depression. I'm not saying depression isn't out there, but anxiety is what everyone's talking about now. You walk down the hallways of our schools that we work at, it's stress and anxiety become one and the same. Yeah. And what you brought up is a really important point, is nothing is either one way or the other. Nothing is either all one thing or all. The way I look at it is it's on a continuum. So the thing about situational anxiety is every single one of us, 100% of the population experiences situational anxiety every day. If you're pushing yourself, if you're trying something new, then that's gonna be some anxiety. But at the same time, it could be the other side of it. You don't have the skill set. And so your whole entire life, you've been protected from failure. Failure, which is a very natural part of life, happens and you're absolutely devastated. That's not anxiety, that's just failure.
Right. That's
so, right? Yeah. And so with stigma, which is, I love your mental health matters, there's like ending stigma, and everywhere it's all about ending stigma. But the problem with that is that all of a sudden everybody's being lumped into one category, so that people that truly have a diagnosis don't get what they need. So So situational anxiety is really another word for fear and trepidation and difficulty coping, any of those things. And situational anxiety, so when you talk about a continuum, is that today, like for example, when I did my TEDx talk, my situational anxiety was 100.
Right.
Right. So part of really the coping that we'll get to, before I came on with you today, I would say my situational anxiety was about a 70.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I like it.
Oh, okay.
I like it. Because when we talk about flow, so you might have seen my flow video, is that the really situational anxiety, if you reframe it, could be the opposite of boredom.
Okay.
Right? So it's about the words that you use. So situational anxiety is a normal everyday experience. And whether it goes from situational anxiety, which I would just call stress, into an anxiety disorder, is your ability to cope, what your biology is, how much sleep you've had, all those different things. So I think we really need to normalize situational anxiety. Structure is an incredible way for handling situational anxiety. Okay. So ahead of the interview, you gave me 5 points, 6 points, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the left part of our brain is structure, and then the other side of our brain is all about emotion. So I have this anxiety, this fear, whatever, but if I have the structure, then I feel capable. So as fellow educators, we provide that structure for our students. So, right? So when you say recovering type A, there are many benefits of type A, and it really benefits our students. So for example, if I teach them a course January, they're going to be January 1, they're going to know exactly what's happening to the end of the year.
That's right.
And so what happens, like even in this moment with you, so that when we land in the classroom, when they land in the classroom, after we've taken care of getting comfortable, we get to fly as educators.
Right.
So we get to be creative. You can't be creative and in anxiety at the same time.
No, that sounds like a disaster to me.
And so what happens is when we talk about the times, so with COVID, with racial trauma, Black Lives Matter, with unemployment. So what we had is normally we might have been operating at a 50 out of 100 on any given day.
Right.
Now we're closer to 100 for a lot of people.
Right.
And so part of us having this conversation is really reassuring and reaffirming people that they have what it takes to guide. Anxiety, out of all of the conditions, is the most physical.
Oh, okay.
And that's why mindfulness is so important. It seems like mindfulness is thrown around everywhere, but back to, like we said, you have the structure, you're with your class, I'm with you right here, right now, and I'm only here right now.
Right.
What I say to my students, and I'm saying to you, I say to myself, in this moment, I can handle anything. It's even so much in our house. I'll say to my husband, okay, don't tell me anything until the day of. Because what happens with anxiety is anticipatory anxiety. So that's another hallmark of anxiety. It's two things. You're anticipating and you're second guessing what just happened. And that's going to show up in your body, Katherin. It's going to show up in your body. So in this moment, I'm going to give you sort of two things. I want you to, you don't have to say it out loud. I want you to think about something that is anxiety provoking for you. If you want to say it out loud, you can. What makes you anxious?
Yeah, and I think I will, just because I think it's important for whoever is listening to this or watching this to kind of see something. So I'm going to say something that is very specific that's happening now. Because I know myself, I need to go take a trip by myself, away from everybody, and just be alone, right? So I planned this road trip, and it's supposed to be happening, I'm looking at my calendar, it's supposed to happen Friday. I was supposed to go from Friday to Monday. But my daughter has a friend who found out that his father is in the ER because of COVID. She hangs out with this friend frequently. So he's waiting on his test. She's going to get tested today. This has brought up a little bit of anxiety and not knowing what to do. Do I wait to hear back about whatever? Do I still go on my trip? I really need to go on this trip for my own sanity. But now I'm feeling like, well, I don't know. Because, I don't want to be part of the reason why things are spreading. So yeah, that would be an example, like real time.
Real time. And I'm going to ask you to real time and tell me how this shows up in your body.
Yeah, I feel, I never know how to explain it, but it's always like something right here in this area, like my stomach area, where it's like, whatever that is.
Okay, you want to know what part of that is? Because serotonin is a neurotransmitter that calms us in the same way that heroin calms us. Not that we're familiar, but so in the same way that if you have a really good meal, pasta, you feel calm after. But the opposite of it is that you have less serotonin during anxiety-provoking events, so it shows up in your stomach.
Wow.
So that's
amazing.
See? So the more that you can tune into your physical nature and what you're craving more than anything is freedom.
Right.
And for me, in a similar situation, I feel like I was locked in a casket that's been buried like 6 feet under.
Same. I hear you.
Right? So you probably don't even feel like there's oxygen in the room.
No, I'm like, I have to get out and go somewhere.
Yes. Everybody who's listening can relate. There's something that they're waiting on. They're waiting to find out if they're going back to work. And this is what situational anxiety is, okay? Right. Like you can have 100 things in the day that you're waiting on. So now we're moving into what's called the strategies. And I really believe in strategies that are sustainable. And part of, as you say, break it down. This is the beauty of us being educators, is that we're able to watch our students. Right. We can see what clicks. And when my students are around, like my husband is an accountant, psychology is not his most interesting thing in the world. So when I say something and it clicks for him, I write it down because he's like the every man. And I was trying to find with Dwight. When you get his attention, my husband's name is John. You write it down, right? So you want things that are sustainable because you want to be able to repeat it. So for example, when you're in the between, you tune into the physical part of your body. Mm-hmm. You understand that as terrible as the outside feels, it's really what we do to ourselves.
Right.
Because what we're doing is we're re-victimizing ourselves.
Right.
And then right? And so the number one thing that I'll start with sustainable is we put a time limit on it.
Okay.
So we put a time limit on it. So a lot of people will say, well, if you're going to put a time limit on my pain, if you're going to put a time limit on my suffering, are you not respecting me?
Right. Yeah, how do you do that?
Me? And so 2 ways of looking at that. Number one is I honor you so much that I know your strength will always be bigger than your stress. So if we only have an hour together, then even us for 15 minutes, 20 minutes together, but just say if I in a coaching situation or in the classroom or with my friends or friends, I want to get to our dreams. I want to get to the fun. I want to hear about the road trip. It's going to be one damn amazing road trip. And the other part of it is actually what's called the Hebb's law. And it's the idea that neurons that fire together, wire together.
What is it called again?
It's called Hebb's.
Okay.
law. It's a McGill, out of McGill University.
Okay.
And it's the intersection between neuroscience and psychology. So Hebb, H-E-B. And the idea is that if we keep repeating our story over and over again, so let's talk about Black Lives Matter too, and racial trauma, because I honor it. I witness it. And this is, you can speak to it more than I do.
Yeah.
But I also want to hear, Dr. G, about your families overcoming.
Right.
So you talk about whatever it is. So even like a student who comes in that failed the test. We'll talk about that you failed the test, but really we're an hour together. Let's spend 45 minutes getting you better for the next test.
Right.
So the idea of Hebb's Law is that the more that you keep wiring into the I'm not enough, I can't do it, you just essentially it's actually reinforced the trauma.
Yeah, and you cement it, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's why you see some people, like even like as you mentioned, with your writing, it wasn't reinforced a lot when you were young, but it was reinforced later. So you want to make sure you reinforce the right story. So you put a time limit on it, even with your friends, you say, we're going to talk about it for 10 minutes. So whatever, listen, we're all in COVID. Right? We're all surrounded by, let's just even use that as one thing. We're all in that together. So we want to put a time limit on it. We're going to talk about what is it awakening? Right. What are you noticing in the course of a day, Katherin, that you wouldn't have noticed because pre-COVID? What is new for you? Anxiety is really an overstimulation of every part of our body. So you see the butterflies, right? So you can see it in your stomach. It's overstimulation of your brain. It's overstimulation of space. It's overstimulation of everything. Yeah. So that one way of neutralizing, and even for you, it's as simple as just getting away, even for 45 minutes.
Right. Right. And so now I think I can answer your question, is that it has really reinforced that idea of how much space I really do need so that I can be a better wife, mother, and even friend. Because there have been some things I've turned down with friends because I'm no, I really need to be by myself. So it really has kind of helped me to know myself even more, I think. Yeah.
No, you are standing in your power.
Yeah.
Because you have no choice but to stand in your power now.
Right.
Because you have such limited space. So for example, this is the only interview I'm doing all summer.
Oh, wow.
Right? And yes, it's amazing to see you. And in the past, I would have felt that I had to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying yes to what I want, which is this here right now with you. I just want people to understand that even when they hear me speak or see my videos, that I will always honor your pain, and I will always honor your suffering, and I will always honor your disability. But I see it differently than a lot of people. I see it as your stepping stone. I see it as your wings. I see it as your path to empowerment. And so I will witness it, I will lean into it, but I won't stay there with you. Because I know that, and you know this from your own experience, that if you look back on your life, and I have my students do that when they feel like they're going to fail the first set of exams, I have them go home and get their parents to get every report card. And one of the reasons I have my covers and some of my books in here is because when I'm working on something that I just think I can't do, I look at something that I did.
Yeah, as motivation. Perfect.
So that we all have everything inside of us.
Yeah.
And that I really believe in personal choice, that my philosophy is really humanistic, like Maslow's and all of that, because the world's going to happen and it's happening, but what we really have control over is ourselves.
Yep.
And so that together, Dr. G, we are sharing the message in North America and the world that, once again, I believe way more in your power than your pain.
Yeah.